Hi, I'm America. You've seen me on maps, heard my name in songs, speeches, and protests. You know my flag, my fame, my fire. But do you know me? Let me tell you my story, the real one. Not just dates and documents, but the blood, the hope, the mistakes, and the dreams I carry. Come closer, I'm about to begin. I wasn't always here, not like this. Long before I had stars and stripes, before I spoke English, before I was even called America, I was a vast wild land. Mountains touched the sky, rivers cut deep into the earth, buffalo thundered across plains, and native nations, the Iroquois, the Apache, the Lakota, the Cherokee, they were my heartbeat. They lived with me, not on me. I was sacred to them. Then, in 1492, a ship appeared on my eastern horizon. It was small, creaking, foreign. A man stood at the helm. His name was Christopher Columbus. He thought he'd reached India. He hadn't, but still more came. Spanish, Portuguese, French, Dutch, British. By 1607, the British planted their first flag at Jamestown, Virginia. It wasn't easy. Starvation, conflict, disease, but they stayed. And by 1620, another group came, seeking religious freedom. The Pilgrims, landing near Plymouth Rock, Massachusetts. They didn't come alone, they brought hopes, and also diseases, steel, and greed. The next 150 years were a blur of ships, settlements, and stolen lands. 13 colonies took shape along my east coast: Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia. They worked my soil, cut my trees, built their towns, but they weren't free. They answered to a king across the ocean, King George III of Britain. And when that king demanded taxes without giving a voice in return, a storm began to build inside me. By 1770, things were tense. British soldiers fired into a crowd in Boston. 5 civilians lay dead. The Boston Massacre, they called it. Then came the Boston Tea Party in 1773. Patriots dumping tea into the harbor, refusing to bow. By 1775, muskets cracked at Lexington and Concord. The revolution had begun. And then, in 1776, I was born. Not quietly, no. I screamed into the world with a declaration. Thomas Jefferson wrote it, but his words came from the hearts of millions. We hold these truths to be self-evident. The United States of America, that's the name they gave me. I wasn't united yet, but I was burning with the idea of freedom. It took 7 years of war, freezing winters at Valley Forge, sacrifices by men like George Washington, and help from unexpected allies like the French. In 1783, the Treaty of Paris ended it. I had done it. I had broken free. But now what? But 1787, my founders met in Philadelphia. They drafted a constitution, bold, flawed, visionary. Still, I grew. In 1803, I bought the Louisiana Territory from France, doubling my size overnight. From New Orleans to the Rocky Mountains, I expanded westward. By 1848, after a war with Mexico, I claimed California, Texas, Arizona, and more. But with every step west, I pushed Native people out, from their homelands, their cultures, their future. The Trail of Tears in the 1830s was one of my darkest hours. Thousands of Cherokee and other tribes forced to walk hundreds of miles, so many never made it. Then came gold in California in 1849. Railroads were hammered across my chest. Immigrants from Ireland, Germany, China, they built my bones. Cities rose, industry roared, but a storm was coming from within. Slavery had split me in two. The North, industrial and free. The South, agricultural and enslaved. And in 1861, I broke. The Civil War tore through my heart, brother against brother. Fields turned to graveyards, cities burned. Atlanta, Richmond, Vicksburg. Abraham Lincoln, my tall, solemn leader, held me together with trembling hands. In 1863, he gave freedom a new name with the Emancipation Proclamation, but it cost him his life in 1865, just as the war ended. The Union stood, but I would never be the same. Reconstruction followed, an attempt to heal, but deep scars remained. By the late 1800s, I found power in iron and steel. Skyscrapers stabbed my skyline, factories lit up the night. New York, Chicago, Pittsburgh, they throbbed with workers, smoke, and ambition. Immigrants poured into Ellis Island seeking the American dream. Some found it, some only found struggle. Then came 1914, World War I. At first I watched, but by 1917 I couldn't ignore it. I sent soldiers across the Atlantic. We helped end it. The world noticed me, but peace didn't last. In 1929, the stock market crashed. I fell into the Great Depression, families homeless, jobs gone, hope fading. Then, another war, World War II. It started in 1939, but I entered in 1941 after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. I fought on two fronts, Europe and the Pacific. Normandy, 1944. I stormed the beaches. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, 1945. I dropped the bombs. The war ended, and I stood up stronger than ever. The 1950s and 60s were golden and troubled. I sent men to the moon, Apollo 11, 1969, but I also faced civil rights marches. Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, they demanded the dream I had promised for everyone. And then came the Cold War, a silent battle of fear, missiles, and ideologies. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 nearly brought nuclear fire, but I survived. By the 1980s under Ronald Reagan, my economy soared. By 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. I was the world's lone superpower. I entered new wars in Afghanistan, Iraq. Some questioned me, some followed me. The world watched. Now I live in an era of division and debate, red and blue, left and right, truth and lies. My streets echo with protest and pride. My people, young, diverse, loud, still fight for what's right. I'm older now and I carry many contradictions, but I am still here. Because I was never perfect, I was never finished. I am an experiment, messy, flawed, evolving. I was built on ideas, and it's those ideas, liberty, equality, opportunity, that keep me breathing. I am America, not just a place, but a promise. And my story, it's still being written.